What's up, everybody? This is the Clear in the Air podcast with D and Q,
I'm D.
and I'm Q. Yo, man, today we're going to talk about the NBA free agency. A lot of movement. Some teams with no movement, but a lot of movement. What you thinking? What's sticking out? What's kind of like big changes, things that you feel like we got to talk about today?
Bruh, I mean, the Lakers moved the needle, bruh. Anything with Brian on it, it's gonna be discussed. So
Right.
we'll probably start with them. You know what I mean? They picked up a lot of veterans, to say the least. I'm calling them the AARP squad. You know what I'm saying? But they picked up your boy Melo. You know, you've been a fan since day one. Brian finally get to play with one of his best friends. You know what
Right,
I'm saying? To hopefully get him a ring. So
right.
um, I like bringing Dwight Howard back. I thought they shouldn't have never let him go last year. I like bringing him back. Um, the Russ signing, I'm gonna have to wait and see. I thought it was a couple point guards that were better fits for them, not necessarily better players, but better fits for them.
Right.
But I do like how Russ is going back home to LA. Obviously, played college there, right there at UCLA. I think, well, I know him and LeBron are close, and I think Russ will respect LeBron enough to play, kind of within himself.
Mhm.
Um, I think it's going to be interesting to see is Russ going to be all about getting his numbers. You know what I'm saying? Past few years, he's averaged a triple double, and so he's kind of been stat chasing. You know what I mean? And that's kind of rub some of his teammates the wrong way. So I think that's going to be interesting to see. But I think the biggest thing with the Lakers is going to be health, bro. If they can stay healthy, I think they'll be all right.
Yeah. Um, Well, before I make any comments, I think of the Lakers trades, I like the Malik Monk headline probably the best. That and
Really?
that,
Because that
that
probably got like the least, that and Kendrick Nunn probably got like the least talked
pro,
about.
yeah, it did. It true, but I think the reason why Malik Monks did is because of the Melo situation. But that mixed with the fact that you got a lot of previous players who are coming back, so it's like a reunion. Um, but I like the Malik Monk situation because Malik Monk can shoot. He is a shooter, um, but he also has got that bounce. And so I feel like if you got him on the wing, you know, him hitting those corner threes or just kind of stretching the defense to a point to where he drives and kicks. Um, hey, I remember that happening a lot since we're talking about Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard would get a lot of that. They would drive, kick the Dwight Howard, and you're not doing nothing with that. Like he's going up and he's either getting fouled or he's monkeying on you.
Right.
So but uh as
JaVale
far
was doing the same thing,
exactly,
So yeah,
exactly. So when you talk about the mellow piece, it's kind of like the Russ piece. I don't know about the fit, um, but I like it for their individual situation. So, for example, you mentioned Russ coming back home. I like that for him. The fact of Mello being with his Banana Boat brother, you
right.
know what I mean? I like
MVP.
that. I like that, and a part of me, I'm 50-50 on it. I feel like it's not going to work just based on the chemistry part. And a part of me saying, no, it's going to work. And I'll say for two reasons why I say I think it will. I feel like Russ, even though Russ has averaged a triple double the past 4 years, I believe it is, um, he's also, I think, not the same Russ that KD did not want to play with. Um, and so when you look at it from that standpoint, he has kind of said, you know what, I have to be better with my decision making. I have to consider others first and actually be a point guard that could kill you and break you down though. As far as Melo, I think Melo really kind of had that um he kind of really had that humble moment. And so I really feel like he's going to do what you need him to do.
Right.
Um, what does that mean? Coming off the bench. I don't think he should be a starter. I really don't. I think him doing what Portland had him doing and coming off the bench and killing was great. And then he ended up getting starting time with the injuries and stuff. So again, you talk about injuries, Melo has not been injured when he was not injured with the Blazers. So if somebody was to go down, he step in and kind of play that role where he has more of a role. So that's my
Right.
thoughts.
I think um, you brought up two great points, and it's really both of them the past 2 years. I think
Mhm.
they've changed these past 2 years for so with Russ 2 years ago he was playing in Houston and he changed his game a lot to play with Harden. Still
Right,
had great numbers, but he changed his game to play with Harden. And then last year in DC, you know, they where we are, they're the local team, so we see them often. But I don't think they
right,
was getting a lot of national attention. You know what I'm saying?
right,
And they were so trash to begin with, and then
right.
brought them back. They snuck into the play in and got into the playoffs. So he was able to play well with Bradley Beal and do what Russ do. But I think these last 2 years for him has kind of you know changed him a little bit to where I think he can go to LA now and fit right in.
Mhm.
Like I said, I felt like there were some other point guards that probably fit better for the Lakers. They
Agreed.
weren't necessarily better players than Russ. Actually, they were not. They are not better players than Russ. But I just thought that, as far as like a true point guard, which is what the Lakers needed, I
Mhm.
thought they were better fits. But I mean, if anybody can make it work, I think Brian can make it work. And like I said, I think Russ respects him enough, likes him enough and respects him to where, you know, he'll do what needs to be done for team success. And I think Russ wants a ring, bro.
Yeah,
He's tired of hearing he's had a bunch of great teammates and they don't want to play with him and this and that. I think he wants a ring, man. I think he
yeah.
wants a ring. The Melo situation, like you said, bro, these past 2 years in Portland, I think humbled him.
Mhm.
And, there was that narrative out there where, he thought he was better than what he was. And, a lot of teams didn't maybe want to bring him on because they like this dude is going to be a Hall of Famer. But how, is he going to be open to not maybe playing as many minutes as he thought? So he was on the couch, son. So
Mhm.
Portland finally called him, and I think he got humbled and he did what they asked him to do. And like you said, bro, he was that scoring punch off the bench. And then when
Mhm.
he started, he was, making moves out there. So I think these past 2 years for both players have benefited them. And I don't necessarily root for the Lakers per se, but I root for Bron. You know what I'm saying? I would like for them to see them him get another ring. And I like Russ. I like Melo. I like all those guys. So I would like for them to, to get another ring. So I'm a root for them. And
Yeah,
also though, well, we'll get to that question later. Like has their path got easier? Has the power shifted kind of to the east? Because a lot of
yeah,
the trades happen in the east. But we'll get to that later though.
yeah.
We'll
We'll get to
talk
that.
about that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna say this one thing. Rest in peace, Kobe. Um, it would be interesting if he was still with us, what he would say in interviews regarding these moves.
Because they'd ask him.
Of course, and it's
They asked
just
him about Bron. They asked him about Bron.
right, and just seeing him courtside with Gigi, with everybody, you know what I mean? It just would have been dope. So, rest in peace, Kobe. I just felt the need to really just say that. It just came to mind, and because
Hey,
everybody's got an opinion, but when you've played there and you are the ultimate Laker, as Kobe became,
his,
it's just
his
right.
opinion and Magic's opinion always matter when it comes to the Lakers, bro.
Word,
Those two
word,
opinions always matter. So
word, word. Yo, what other so I mean, I'm skipping a bit. So let's see, you talked about the East. I know your squad is the Knicks.
correct.
What would you say about the moves that y'all made?
So with me, bro, I don't get my hopes up. I've been heartbroken. Why you gotta laugh, dog? Stop laughing, bro. I've been heartbroken too many times with them, man. So every time they talk about free agency and who they want to target, we never get them, bro. So of course, it was talking about Dame and if he wants to be traded, New York is his number one destination. I'm like, I believe it when I see it. We was talking about going hard at Colin Sexton. Good player, definitely need a point guard, brings that intensity. I'm like, I don't know if I'm willing to break the bank for him. Kind of a smaller guard, you know what I'm saying, but definitely like his game. Um, But as far as the moves we made, I guess I'll start with the smaller ones first. So we re-signed D Rose, which I thought was great. Um,
Hmm.
just he loved New York. New York loved him. He loved Thibodeau. Thibodeau loved him. I just think it's a match. Now he showed he still got it. Um, I think a under talked about story in the playoffs why we struggled was because we had to move him into the starting lineup. So that kind of hurt our bench scoring. But not to take anything away from the Hawks. Hawks just beat us. We re-signed Nerlens Noel. Cool, you know what I'm saying? Defense, rim run. Could be kind of gimpy, injury prone, but I like him. We
Hmm.
didn't give him huge money, so that was fine. Was not feeling the Evan Fournier signing, 4 years, 78 million. Just not understanding what's the hype with him. So, like,
Hmm.
he was in Orlando, they was basic. You got traded to Boston, ain't help there. I mean, you doing all right right now in the Olympics, but I'm like, why, bro? 4 years, 78 million for him? Like,
Hmm.
I'm assuming they thinking he gonna space the floor with his shooting. So, but I'm not really feeling that signing. Which brings us to the news today with Kimba, cardiac Kimba,
Yeah. Yeah.
coming back to the city. Um, I'm a little torn. I feel like it's a couple years too late.
Yeah.
Just because he's a different player, bro. He's always injured, man. Always injured, bro. But the good thing about it was, um, he had got traded to OKC and they bought him out.
Hmm.
So we pretty much got him on the cheap. So it's a low risk for us, low risk, high reward. You know what I'm saying? If he's healthy, he's definitely an upgrade at the point guard position, and then we could bring Rose again now off the bench.
Hmm.
And he's back home, so that might
Right.
revive his spirit. Right. So we did get better offensively. Probably got worse defensively. You know what I mean? Kimba's not the greatest defender. I don't believe Fournier is either. Um, but we after the playoffs definitely showed that we needed to get better offensively. So it's kind of a wait and see with that. I do like bringing back Rose. Nerlens is okay. I don't know what we're gonna do with Mitchell Robinson. I would prefer to resign him, but he might be demanding more money than what we can offer him, which is probably why we re-signed Nerlens. Not a fan of the Fournier signing. And Kimba is the wait and see, but I think it's a low risk, so I'm all right with it.
Got you. Um, the Bulls. What do you think
Nah,
about?
bro, don't gloss over my Knicks. Nah.
Huh?
Give me that critique. What you thinking about the Knicks? What you think?
Um, my bad.
You just gonna gloss over my squad?
I surely did. I guess because I gave you the shine because it's your
Okay,
squad.
all right.
Um, I mean, this leads to the question we'll talk about a little later, but um, I'm glad for two things. Personally, I'm glad for D Rose as a player, and then just personally, just because he kind of reminds me of Melo, where people, you go through either injury or you go through something, and then people want to just kind of like forget about you, and just kind of say you washed. Um, so definitely happy for Rose. The Kimba situation, again, the injury. So I don't. It's hard to really kind of get up for a situation like that because, like you say, when you said a few years too late, I agree. Because it's not the Charlotte Kemba, which is what you could use, with your boy uh, Randall. You know
Mhm,
what I mean? So, I do think that Randall having the ball in his hands as much as he did really hurt y'all.
mhm.
You know what I mean? But I also like what's the little guard um, that's actually from Maryland? Uh, what's the little
Uh,
guard that went to Kentucky?
Quickly.
Quickly, Emmanuel Quickly. Um, I like him because he's developing, and the fact that as a rookie he got like some playoff experience like that. I think that was perfect for him, and I think that's going to really set him up for success moving forward. So I'm happy about that. I gotta say it just because it's there. I don't think the moves that were made make y'all better. It doesn't. To me, I don't think it says if you play the Hawks next year, next playoffs, that you'll beat them. Um, so I'm gonna shut up because that leads to some other things. All right. So
Well, no. You ain't gonna leave it off that, bro. So let
why
me say
we?
this about the moves. I don't think the moves move the needle that much,
Mhm.
but I know one of the biggest problems we had against Atlanta was scoring.
Mhm.
And I think we've gotten better offensively with this team. Now, instead of 4-1, maybe it would have been 4-2, 4-3. I don't know, because we still ain't got no answer for Trey. Don't do that, bro. Don't. Kimba alone, come on, bro. Kimba, when he get hot, he could
Again,
put it in the
again, again. If he's healthy, and that's the big question. I mean, because honestly, see, this is the problem. If we were talking about Charlotte Kimba, then he would equal out Trey Young.
right.
Like that would balance that out. And so there you go. But we don't know. And that's the problem. Like if he's healthy, um, if he's healthy, that's game 7, if you ask me. That's a game 7 situation, maybe. Game 6,
New
game
York,
seven.
in New York, because we had home court. But anyway,
That's a game 6, game 7. So that's just kind of where I am with that. I'm not trying to crush your team. I don't have too much to say
nah, I get it.
outside of that.
No,
You know what I
keep it
mean?
real, bro. It
No,
depends
I
on.
mean that's just kind of where it is. It's just I guess they were doing some like, okay, so let's talk about Dame. All that stuff with Dame. Dame's not coming there. Because what it would have to do is it would have to erase everything that they've done so far, and Dame hasn't come out and really said that that's what he's trying to do. So that's a whole nother situation, and it doesn't seem like there's a lot of movement with Portland. But let's stay in the East. So the Bulls. Um, I'm liking the DeMar Alonso situation, and the only reason I'm saying DeMar Alonso is because um, I feel like I like Levine, I like Zach. The problem is I'm just looking at the double wing situation, and I'm just saying like everybody can't pull that off. That's like the PG Kawhi situation, and those guys are veterans and they couldn't really kind of get it to work. And so it's like, and this is the thing too, Lonzo is younger than all of them. And it's the point guard's job to kind of make it work. Well, it's hard to make that work because they kind of similar players in the way. So it's like, and then it's kind of like, okay, well, now that you got DeMar, are you shipping Zach out?
Exactly.
Which could help you, I think. It's
But who's
just
a
what
better player right now? Who's a better player right now, Zach or DeMar?
I'm
Right
gonna give
now,
it. I'm gonna give it to Zach.
exactly.
I'm gonna give it to
So
Zach. But you got DeMar, so it's like you went to go get him. So you went to go get him to get a player that's
kind of,
less, that's the
yeah,
same, and then not,
and not
that's
as
that's
great a
here.
shooter, not as great as a long distance shooter.
But at the same time, you don't need that if you got Zach. Be that 15-footer. What D Wade was, the
So
mid range killer.
yeah, to that I say this: you sign Zoe, Caruso, DeMar, and you got Levine and Vucevic. And now if you keep Zach, it sounds like Zach trying to get paid. And he just got paid, but I guess he want a new contract, or I guess he can be read up. So, and it sounds like he want to be paid, he want a different contract. So I didn't really understand DeMar choosing there. Um, because he was talking about the Lakers, then maybe the Heat. Um, and so then when he, I guess a lot of spots was filling up, so he just kind of went to where he could go. But then that made me think about Zach. I'm like, well, if he there, what that mean for Zach? So I guess let's say everybody comes back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's say Zach come back. You got Vucevic, you got DeRozan, Zoe, and Caruso. That's not scaring me, dog.
No.
It's not. It's not. I mean, they missed the playoffs this year. Didn't make the play in. So they got that squad. What they like? Bottom of the East, maybe.
This is the problem that you have. This is why I don't like the whole super team stuff. Is because it creates this. It creates this. And so let's just be honest. If you're not the Sixers, if you're not the Bucks, if you're not the
Brooklyn.
Hawks, if you're not Brooklyn, I want to put Boston in there, but then again, so if you're not the top 4 or 5 teams, it's up for grabs to a degree, and then it's still not even up. I don't see the Bulls being a 6, maybe a 7, maybe an 8 with this.
I see them as a play-in or 7, 8, 9, 10 team.
Yeah. Even with the moves they
And
made.
side note, you putting Atlanta as one of the top 4 teams in the East?
Top 4 or 5, yeah. They were the fifth. They were the fifth team because this is the thing
They were
too.
the
Like,
fifth seed. They were the fifth seed. Yeah.
because I'll say this part, right? I'll say this part. Um, and I hate to do this to you, dog, but I'm not a believer in your Knicks yet to say that this is going to be an ongoing thing for them. So
Okay.
so as we saw them
Dog, my
do
squad.
what they did, son, they could easily be that for. But watch this. Watch this. The tough part too is there's so many different factors, which is another thing. I think we could just do a whole totally different segment when we talk about like the injuries and how they played a role on teams. But I still don't think, even with that being said and done, that changes much in the East. I think who's where they are now is where they will be for the next couple of years.
Right. So let me say this. I feel like there's 3 top teams in the East, then I feel like there's a significant drop off.
Right.
So you could say 4. You could put Atlanta as 4. I don't think they're as good as Milwaukee, the Nets, or Sixers. And now with the Sixers, I think the Sixers, I mean, because you add Drummond, yeah, like why would you add Drummond? So you have problems with Ben clogging the paint for Embiid. So you want to get rid of Ben, something they haven't done just yet. I'm sure we'll have another podcast if and when. I mean, we'll have another show if and when he gets traded. But you bring in Drummond, another big man that has to be in the paint.
Yeah.
And Drummond can't be outside. Like at least Ben has some point guard experience. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like point guard, but he can kind of. Drummond got to go right to the block. Get your butt down in the block,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I don't know if Philly necessarily got better.
No.
Which brings us to, I believe, is the wild card team, which is the team we're gonna talk about next, which is your Heat. So the Heat, like the Bulls, made a lot of moves, but were their moves effective? So their moves were they got Kyle Lowry,
Mm-hmm.
and Oladipo re-signed. So they got a big 3, or if maybe you want to say big 4 of Lowry, Butler, Bam, and then if you want to say 4 Oladipo. What do you think about that?
First things first, it ain't a big 3, it's a medium 4.
Okay, respect, respect.
It's a medium 4. And
Okay.
then
Oh, they
again,
got PJ Tucker too. Bring some defense, some toughness.
right. But again, so let's say you
Fresh
go,
kicks. Some fresh
huh?
kicks. Bring the fresh kicks.
Oh, well, this is the thing. There's a lot of pieces. So all right. So you got Bam, uh, what's my man's name you just said? How am I drawing a blank?
Butler,
Butler. You got
Butler,
Bam,
Lowry,
Butler, Lowry, Tucker, um,
Oladipo.
Oladipo, right? But I don't know if that can be your starting 5 because
Then
You
you gave
need
Duncan Robinson 90 million.
you gave him bread. You gave the other young shooter, like you got him on the squad still. So it's like, all right, y'all got a lot of pieces, yes. But what are you gonna do with them? Because you can't bench Tucker. You could bench Oladipo, but do you get what you need from him if you do that? Because he's been a starter very quickly coming into the league. And so
Not even that, dog. Dude, does that lineup scare you?
it doesn't. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna say this, and I hate to say this. I feel like because of the injuries and the way that the bubble was kind of built, by no means do I think the Lakers were a fluke as in terms of the bubble. I do think with injuries and certain things, not like with the Bucks and their situation, and that mental toughness I feel like they needed when they picked up Drew, and PJ, obviously. I feel like, man, I just don't think they'll ever get back to the bubble again. I don't think they'll get back to that.
You
And
talking
and
about the Heat,
yeah, I don't
right?
think they'll get back to the bubble glory days. And I don't
Right,
feel like that because again, you have so many different factors now. Again, Brooklyn wasn't Brooklyn.
right.
Um, and so who are you beating? Like I would say their ceiling might be an Atlanta Hawks ceiling.
So I totally agree with you. I think what you're trying to say is like everything fell perfectly for Miami in the bubble. You
Exactly.
know what I'm saying? You didn't have the temptation of South Beach. you know, the young players, they didn't have the temptation of playing on, I mean not temptation, but they didn't have the pressure of playing on the road. You know what I'm saying? Jimmy Butler was locked in. The Bucks really didn't want to be there. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying?
Hmm.
They didn't have Drew Holiday. Um, you know, I feel like everything fell perfectly for the Heat and the bubble. And I think last year's result is more so who they really are. you
Hmm.
know what I'm saying? I don't think they as bad as getting swept by Milwaukee, which is what they did, but see them losing the first round, I can kind of see that. This year, I think Kyle Lowry's gonna bring some toughness and defense. You know, I'm not a huge fan of his, but he will bring some toughness and defense. And you know, he can shoot. When he get hot, he can get hot. Butler, you know, Jimmy Butler's Jimmy Butler. I kind of worry about their size, bro, because their size only really is Bam, and he ain't like super huge. Um, so I kind of
Pause.
worry about the size. Yeah, pause.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, respect. Thank you. So yeah, I kind of worry about their size. But yeah, they made a lot of moves, and they re-upped Jimmy Butler too. He got a crazy extension
And I'm not mad
last
at
year.
that.
So
I'm not mad at
I
Jimmy's
mean,
situation.
he embodies the Miami Heat. He is a Miami Heat player. You know,
He's like a
gritty,
Udonis Haslam type.
yeah, gritty, always in shape. You know, because they got that weird, not that weird, but that strict regimen. You got me in shape, certain amount of body fat. You know what I'm saying? Just that tough, gritty. He's a Miami Heat player. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, he bumped heads a couple places, couple teams, couple teammates. But Miami suits him. He seems to embrace the Miami culture. They embrace him. So, you know, I'm okay with them re-upping him as well. But, you
Yeah.
know, him, Bam, Kyle Lowry with Oladipo, that ain't really moved the needle too much for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think still in the East, you know, the cream of the crop are still the Bucks, who was surprisingly quiet. So I guess they just gonna run it back with what they got. They re-signed Portis, and then lost PJ, but I guess you know they just gonna keep it what they got. Brooklyn, of course, if they're healthy.
Uh,
Um, Philly, I guess is gonna be a wait and see. I don't know who they picked up besides Drummond. So I think they was kind of quiet, but I think they kind of waiting to decide Ben's future. So
I'm gonna
uh,
say this part. I'm gonna ask this last question.
uh-huh.
Um, I feel like Philly will tank because they're gonna get rid of Ben. Um,
Like tank or just go not be as good as they used to.
to me that's tanking because you were looked at as a contender, and so if you're not a contender at this point in the process, you're tanking. You're
Well,
tanking.
okay, I wouldn't say tanking because I don't think they're going to be losing on purpose. I think they just
No,
not
no.
as good as they
All right,
used to.
so let me. When I say tanking, I mean
They're going to decrease. I mean, they're going to.
yeah, because there's all right with what Ben who he is now. This is where things, and then you got to mix injuries and all that stuff. So I feel like they've reached their ceiling. You take
Right.
Ben out of the equation, you done grabbed a lot of the great players. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So who else you gonna get?
Right.
You know who I think, and then I'm gonna ask this last question. You know who I think who may have been a good fit? I think Zach Levine may have been a good fit. I think Zach, because the truth of the matter is, okay, you went with the idea of a point guard. Okay, Zach can handle the ball. He's to me, he's more of a wing, but you know, he handles the ball a lot. But even if he was not doing that and you just had a regular basic point guard, a solid point guard, I think Zach would have been a good fit. Because he's not gonna be in the way of Embiid. You know what I mean? He gonna play fast. You know what I mean? He can shoot.
Yeah,
Don't look at it as in saying replacing Ben. Don't look at it
yeah,
from that standpoint.
they need a point guard, and they need a traditional point guard. Kyle Lowry would have been great for them. Colin
I
Sexton
agree.
would be great for them.
I agree.
Like they need a point guard.
I agree.
So Levine would have been fine, but I don't think that would have solved the issue of needing a point guard. You don't
No, no,
want
no, no.
Levine to be your primary ball handler. You know what
No,
I'm
no,
saying?
and I wasn't saying that. I was just saying that I think he would have been okay to add to that. Like if you say what, because initially we were going to talk about what do they need, what do teams
Right,
need,
right,
and I think because Butler left, he's not a Butler, but he
right,
does some things I feel like Butler doesn't do. Like Butler's not your 3-point shooter. Butler's not getting hot from three.
right,
So that's that.
right.
But yo, we in a way we talked about maybe like the pendulum swinging from the west to the east, which I don't necessarily feel that way.
Mhm.
But this is a legit question as we close. Do you think the East got better in terms of saying, okay, it's not like a landslide where 4 of the 5 teams are better than the top 2 teams in the East?
Uh, yeah, I think the East definitely got better. I mean, just if you look at all the major transactions, they mostly took place in the East. Um, you know, and like you said, the Heat, I believe they got better.
Mm-hmm.
I believe Chicago got better.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Knicks, the jury's still out there, but I think they'll probably be around the same.
Yeah.
Kind of depending on if Randall had that otherworldly year like he did last year, which might be hard this year because he ain't gonna sneak up on nobody. You know what I'm saying? Um, but I think a lot of the bigger names went to the East. Um,
I would agree.
yeah, but
I would agree.
the West is still, ain't no slide. Utah made some moves.
Mm-hmm.
I saw they lost favors, but they picked up Whiteside, so that's a solid backup for Gobert.
And they picked up
Conley
Rudy Gay
resigned,
too.
picked up your boy Rudy Gay, and Conley resigned. So they're gonna be formidable again. Clippers got to see what Kawhi gonna do, but I think he gonna resign. I know we don't believe in them, but they still gonna be one of the top teams in the West.
Yeah.
Phoenix obviously locked in CP3. They gonna be tough because I don't know, did they get lightning in the bottle last year? So it's gonna be interesting to see what happens with Phoenix, but they're gonna be tough. And then I don't know about Denver. You gotta see how Murray come back. Your boy Barton did resign, got a nice contract. So
Mm-hmm.
Barton resigned. And then I think Houston got some talent. I think they'll be better. They'll probably still be out of the playoff mix, but they'll be better.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Yeah, I know, bro, but they'll be better. You know,
We was talking
and
about whether the East got better,
even
and I and
teams
I
like
agree.
yeah, yeah, and then you got the bottom, like the Pelicans, and Grizzlies gonna be where they gonna be. Spurs probably gonna take a step back. Yeah,
All of the bullet,
yeah,
right?
yeah. But I think the East did get better. I
Yeah,
think they get
I think they got better too. Well, listen, yo, everybody, this is kind of a part one, if you could look at it that way, because there's still trades and stuff that's going on in the league. So I just say stay tuned, because there's going to be another wave. I feel like that takes place, even if it's not as significant as it has been seemingly in the East. So just stay tuned, and we'll be there to talk about it next time.
no
Hey,
doubt.
listen, man, this is the Clearing in the Air podcast with D and Q. We out.
Peace.